Welcome to the Refine and Shine, the podcast dedicated to mastering the art of continuous improvement and optimizing every aspect of your life. I'm Angelina Rivera, your host, and together we'll uncover the secrets to refining our lives, our habits, and our processes to unlock our inner brilliance. Join us on Refine and Shine, where we'll delve deep into achieving more in life without the burnout and without all the stress. This podcast is your platform for a more fulfilling life through continuous improvement and personal growth. In each episode, I and a diverse array of guests discuss practical strategies for up-leveling every aspect of your life. From developing good habits and organizing your space to refining your mindset and personal goals, we're going to explore it all. Our guests share personal stories about the systems they developed or systems they've used and the tweaks they've made in their lives when refinement was needed, allowing them to truly shine. Listen to Refine and Shine to learn how you can implement continuous improvement techniques in your daily routine, develop and maintain healthy habits that lead to success and satisfaction, organize your life to reduce the stress and increase your productivity, foster a growth mindset that propels you to new heights. My mission is to inspire you to take bold action, make positive changes, and become the best version of yourself. Whether you're aiming to elevate your career, nurture meaningful relationships, or enhance your overall well-being, Refine and Shine is your guiding light. With over 25 years of experience in continuous improvement, I help businesses streamline their processes, establish efficient work areas, and implement standard work protocols. I have trained over 600 individuals and teams in process improvement, optimizing workflows, and enhancing overall operational efficiency. Tune in every week as we embark on an enlightening journey, exploring paths to refinement and illuminating the way to shine in every area of our lives. Subscribe now and join us on this journey to polish your life and let your best self shine through. Thank you for joining us on Refine and Shine. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Refine and Shine. I'm super excited about my guest, and we were just talking before we started recording, just about how we met and all the different events that we've been to. And I just want to stress the importance of putting yourself into the rooms. It's so important to connect with people because we are meant to connect, and we're made for community, and that's how we're designed. And so I'm super excited to have my friend on here today. Azadeh Atzberger is a distinguished three-time best-selling author, the esteemed founder of Finally Free Life, serving as a transformational life coach and couples coach. She's renowned as a visionary behind the 12 Steps for Narcissistic Abuse Recovery. She draws from her own journey as a trauma survivor of domestic and sexual abuse and a triumphant conqueror of addiction. Her profound passion lies in empowering individuals to navigate trauma and find the freedom to manifest the lives they inspire to lead. Thank you so much for being on here today. I'm super excited to hear what you have to share with my listeners.
Oh my goodness, the honor is all mine. Thank you, Angelina, for having me. Such an honor.
I'm super excited to have you because, like we were just talking before we started recording, is that you have gone through life, right? And you're still like, if people were to see you today, they wouldn't know the trauma and all the things that you've been through. And so kind of talk to us and walk my listeners through a little bit about your journey and your earlier life and how you got to where you are today.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, asking me that question, I really believe in being led. So I'm gonna be led where my thoughts went. And my thoughts went right away to high school. High school. And I gotta tell you, and I know you have kids that are grown kids, but and you've watched them go through high school. And I thought high school was tough back then. It's 3, 4, 5 times harder now with more pressure. But when I was in high school, I was bullied through the whole high school years. And I spent a lot of my time hiding in bathrooms at lunches because Angelina, because I was so afraid of people knowing I didn't have friends. So I'd hide in the bathroom and I would put makeup on repeatedly to look like I was just in there putting on makeup. And second, it was my way of hiding from the person that was bullying me. And that became so difficult and painful. I found drugs. I found drugs in high school and alcohol and cough syrup, if you can imagine that. If I couldn't get the alcohol, I would drink the cough syrup just to survive high school.
Oh wow, that's tough.
Yeah, it was tough. But you know what's so cool about it is that I knew how to survive in the worst case scenario. I knew how to, it wasn't healthy. It's not ideal. We don't want to teach that to others, but I still found a way to cope through. And, and I ultimately became a really heavy drug addict and an alcoholic from that because it turned everything off. Turned off pain, it turned off reality, turned off so much for me.
It numbed you.
It numbed me.
Mhm.
Yeah. And it helped me walk through pain. But what I thought was helping me numbed the other parts of my instincts where I was cut off from my internal alarm systems and my internal guidance system. And so I went from one abusive man to another, whether he was cheating, hitting, or doing both. I mean, I'm not in that marriage now. I've been married to a beautiful soul for almost 15 years, but back then, that's what
Mhm.
happened. I, because of the addiction, and because I was not able to use my senses, I entered into very painful relationships with men and women and girlfriends. Imagine. I don't know. Have you ever had a girlfriend that was abusive or toxic or just um, difficult? Have you ever
Yeah,
had
I've
that? You
I've
have?
had some difficult relationships that yes, and ended up people who thought were friends, and then you really look at the way that they are and you're like, they're just toxic, and you have to just step away from those things. And that's really stepping away from those type of relationships has really gotten me to the point where I can actually shine as a person that God has meant me to be.
That's beautiful. Painful, right? In the
Yeah.
middle of it, devastating. It feels like my heart is closing up. Can't stop crying, can't sleep. But once they're gone, I rise back up to my vibrancy like you
Hmm.
did. And
Yeah.
that's what I did too. And so, relationships is my passion. We're all meant, God created all of us to connect. He wants
Hmm.
relationship. We are designed for connection. It's a craving, it's a calling. But when the desperate need to connect settles, then it blows up later. So that's really what I do. I love studying, knowing, understanding anything that brings in connection in relationships.
I love that. And, you talked about, like it started in high school, or, that's when you started like hiding and masking the pain and the things that you were going through by, putting on makeup and just so that you're just there, and then turning into to substances and all those things. And how did you get past that to the where you are today? Because you are in a beautiful relationship, you've been married for 15 plus years, and just all of the things that happened. What made you change, or wake up to what you wanted to be, or how, walk us through that.
Oh, yeah, and this is a trigger warning for some people, so I will warn our listeners, but this is my story. Um, the last abusive relationship I was in, we were heavily doing drugs together, and you know what? I look back now and I think about what I endured and what I tolerated just to have someone in my life. We had multiple addictions together. We had drug addiction together. We had the addiction of abuse with each other. And what happened was, at the very end of that relationship, Angelina, I want to tell you, and I want to tell our listeners, that I left him after he hit me. I didn't. I want to tell you, I left him after he broke a beer bottle in my face. I didn't. I want to tell you that when he was sent to jail from breaking the beer bottle in my face, that I left him. I didn't. I finally left him when I was in a detox with the support of other drug addicts trying to get sober, and the counselor there, because I still see the withdrawal of an abusive relationship is more horrendous than the withdrawal of drugs, because now there is a bond that is created, and it's called a trauma bond. And I couldn't leave him because now my abuser had become my soother. And when I invited him into that detox, because I was trying to get off drugs, and my counselor and the rest of the fellows in there called me out on who he is, they gave me an ultimatum: either it's us or him. And that's when I finally said, help me choose you. I want to choose you guys, but I can't. And I had to tell him to leave and choose, sobriety, the fellowship, love, and God. But that relationship was so dark and so embarrassing, and so volatile, that it eventually launched me into doing a deep dive on what is it in me that put up with something and someone like that. And then now I help, other women and I help women not so much in abusive relationships, although that's a big part of it, but also couples that have pulled away from connection and how to bring them back into intimacy. But that's how I got sober. I got sober leaving him and getting off the drugs and putting myself in a home that was nourishing, loving, kindly, giving me God, showing me God. And that's how I was able to finally leave. And that was 23 years ago this December.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's
Yeah,
amazing. And
yeah.
and that led you into, like what you said, what you're able to do today. And so how did you get started with what you were doing today? The coaching and all the things, and started writing your books and all that stuff.
You know what? I love that you asked that, Angelina. It was the safety and the nurturing of the marriage, a godly marriage. I blossomed. I
I
blossomed in a godly marriage. I was shown consistency, kindness, nurture, unconditionalness. So then I was able to evolve, go to school, get a degree, go get a coaching certificate, become a couples counselor, then start writing books and so on, because I'm not in survival mode like I used to be. I'm not in hypervigilance or walking on eggshells. It was really through creating a safety home and to heal. Started that way.
I love that. It's just you had once you were able to feel safe in a
Yeah.
space and you didn't have to, like you said, walk on eggshells, then you were able to create. You're able to, let yourself think freely and create all the things that you were able to create. And like you said, you got your degree, your coaching certificate, all the things. And once you find that you're in a safe space and you're able to really blossom the way that God has intended to you to, I mean, the blessings will come. But for the person that's out there wondering, how do I even get to that safe space? What advice would you give them to
Oh
how?
yeah. Oh yeah, such a good question. Um, find that person that it really starts with trusting yourself in a way of how you feel around a person. If your stomach drops, you're editing your thoughts, your heart starts to race, all of those things, that's not your person. If you feel calm, relaxed, to be yourself, you feel an internal peace, you're not drained being around that person, then that's your safe person, and start spending time with that person. And you know what else? That person, even if that person doesn't exist in your life, go somewhere and be alone, because being alone is a lot better than staying in an environment or a toxic relationship that's constantly, continually re-traumatizing you into patterns that you're trying to walk out of or be away from. So alone, or find that safe person to be around.
That's so good. That's so good.
Yeah.
And so tell me, when did you write your first book that you had come out, and what was the process through for that for you?
Yeah, so I wrote my first book. It's called Using Food to Cope with Codependency. I wrote that during COVID. As soon as COVID hit, um, I decided to write. So I wrote a book every year because I realized I birthed a new passion. I love to read and write, but I wrote it in COVID because I knew that I was letting go of the next layer, which was the addiction to food, the binge eating that was connected to the codependency in me. And so during COVID, I realized, why don't I just make something out of this really hard situation? So it was during COVID.
I love that. I love that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And then what are your other two books that you have?
My second book is Adult Children of Narcissistic Parents with God, We Rise and Rebuild. My third book is called Letters to the Narcissist. That book I co-authored with a beautiful friend who wrote her journals. And as a counselor, I went back and after each chapter wrote the diagnoses and the patterns of abuse. And so people can kind of get an idea how abuse really starts. Because abuse doesn't start with abuse. It starts with a hug and a kiss and love. Then my fourth book, which is a workbook, are you familiar with the 12-step model for like Alcoholics Anonymous?
I'm not familiar to everything that goes. I know that there's different steps that you have to do, but can you kind of walk this through with
Yeah,
me?
yeah, absolutely. So the 12 steps is it's a workbook. I created that workbook for people that can't afford a therapist or a doctor or a coach or some kind of a mentor or a healer. That workbook is if you've been in abuse and you're no longer in it, and if you are in abuse right now, that workbook's for you. It's to heal and guide you. It's a guidance workbook that you can do at home by yourself, and which will awaken the parts of you that have been suppressed and abused. So that's and it's all my books are God imprinted. So that one is the 12 steps of narcissistic abuse, 12 steps of recovery. So if you go through each step, you will awaken as I've tailored it towards my own journey of healing.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yes,
That's so
yes,
awesome.
yeah,
I think that it's that you've taken, like, like I was talking to you, I think we talked a little bit offline
yeah.
too about it, is that we deal with issues in life and we deal with pain and bad circumstances, and we can continue to live in that space, or we can transform and, like, okay, yes, there's some bad things that have happened. I made some bad choices, whatever you want to think about it, whatever we're talking about in life. There are things that mistakes or whatever we've made, but do we have to live that day every day, or can we change it for the better? And you have changed your life for the better and looked at ways that you can take, okay, this was my journey that I was on, and this is how I've healed from it, and this is how I'm helping others heal. I think that's so important.
Oh my God, you just said going from victim to victor, right?
Right, right.
Describe that. Absolutely. Absolutely. We have to.
And I think it's a choice that we can, like, to take away the excuses, right? As like you said, like there's a book that you have that if you can't afford a counselor or a therapist or all the things, that there's a journey that they can go and do.
with just a less than a couple of Starbucks drinks. Um, go out
Yeah.
there and and buy that, and buy that and take away the excuses, and that's what so many people are like, well, you don't understand. And maybe, and I get it. That's the journeys that people are on and they don't understand, but there's a way that they can get through it.
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely. There is no more excuses because staying, here's the other piece to it, is that staying in victim mentality, energetically, I was attracting my wounds. I
Yeah.
was choosing my wounds because that was in the energy I was in. That was like, whoo, breakthrough. I'm getting chills even telling you about it now. Angelina, staying in my story of what happened to me kept happening to me.
Hmm.
And when I learned to truly release it emotionally, mentally, energetically, physically, life really opened up. I became more vibrant. I felt better in my skin. I just felt more aligned, more empowered, more connected, more ideas, more God downloads. I opened up the space for what's next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we get rid of the things that are holding us down, we can make space for the things that God has made us, intended us to create, right?
So true. So true. But we have to let it go. We have to let it go. We have to let it ultimately, I'm not saying do it within 24 hours. If you're going through abuse right now, or just left an abuser, or you had toxic girlfriends, or girls that didn't really support you the way you supported them. They didn't, or relationships that no longer serve you. It's okay. It's okay. Let them go, because holding on to them, you're keeping you both in that locked space and unable to evolve. Let them go with love, because there's something else that you're supposed to connect to. We're not supposed to be with everybody forever, all the time, until we die. And
Hmm.
that's the hard truth. So whoever is going through that, um I want to just say that, you know, grief is part of life. We can't avoid it. And so relationships that are no longer serving you, whether it's a girlfriend, a romantic one, a boss, any relationships that's no longer serving you, pray for the willingness to let them go with love, so that you can evolve and they can evolve.
Yeah. And I think that that's so, I think that sometimes people are just so afraid to make change, like they're afraid of change. And change is a good thing. Like there, I mean, we have to, you can just see it. Like the change is something that like I coach on, I help people with, like looking at how ways to improve your, at the manufacturing world, our processes or things like that. Like we are meant to, you got to look at the changes that you have to make. And it's the same thing as like, I say it's equivalent to like, relationships is like cleaning out your closet. You got to
Yeah.
get rid of the clutter, right? To make room for the things that, to make room for new. And I think that so many people are just scared and they're holding on to these things that aren't serving them anymore. And they have to just make that choice. Like, do I really need this? Or what am I intended to create? What are my goals? And I think that's so important.
So true. And here's the thing, like a lot of times we know we need to clean out that closet. We know we need to let go, but we hold on. We're loyal to the point of harming ourselves. And I just see so many lives wasted on putting their determination and their drive into a dead-end relationship, and they waste years and months and energy and their calling
Mhm.
their calling because they keep putting energy and effort into something that never is going to change. And so I teach bottom lines. What's your bottom line? You got to know
Mhm.
it.
What are the some of so you do the coaching and like can you talk to us a little bit about your different types of coaching programs that you offer?
Yeah, so I do boundary work. I do boundary work. I do work with women that are mostly in toxic romantic relationships, but I also work with, like I said, I work in marriages. I do couples counseling where I bring the intimacy back. I work with, ironically, God put, some sex addicts into my work, and I've helped them, and I do help them, get sober from the porn and start to walk with God, and find their ways to rise in the moments of temptation. I mean, as a recovering drug addict, alcoholic myself, I have a pretty good idea of what it takes to get sober and how to walk a sober life. It's funny because I never went to school for any of that. It just landed in my work. So I work with porn addicts, sex addicts, I work with food addicts, I work with people, but mostly it all comes down to either the relationship they're in that's causing them to go to addiction to cope, or their lack of relationship with themselves. So it all comes back to relationships. Oh,
Yes,
and
I
I
think
co-author, sorry. And I also coach brand new authors because I have a publishing house. And I take people from the very beginning all the way to the end with the cover and the book in their hand, whatever they want.
I think that's awesome. I think that you've given, that you used your God-given talents for what they, the purposes. And you said like earlier in just a few sentences ago, you said I didn't go to school for this, but you're
Mhm.
coaching it. Well, sometimes that's the thing, is that life experiences make us viable for this, because and so it's the lessons that we learned. And so yes, maybe some hard times you had to go through, but that has helped you help others to the journey, others to the healing that you had to go through. And I think that that's so important. It's the life experiences that we've been through help us to help others. And that's part of like what the refine and shine. It's like we have to refine our lives in order to shine, and it's given us the ability to help others with it. I think that's so important.
So true. And when I sat with you at dinner in California at the Montage, and I remember you said you help business owners organize their time management, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And their tasks. And then you shared with me about how you have helped some people that we both are mutual friends with, help them with the management of their events. And to me, it's like God gave you that talent.
Mhm.
And I think you have kids, a husband, a business, and you still manage all that? Because
Yeah.
to me, that sounds, wow, that's a lot. But then some people look at me and go, you work with porn addicts? Yeah, I do. And so it's like whatever God gave us to use, we use it because it comes naturally, right?
Right. It's our purpose. It's our intended purpose. And
Mhm.
that's like one of my strengths is to be an arranger, to arrange things. And one of my other strengths is positivity and connectedness. And all of those tie in. And so I think it's so important. Like we fight so hard to like, oh, I really want this because it looks good on paper. I want to be this, or I want to be that, or but when we really stop to think about like what am I really good at? What do I have fun doing? And how can I help others? And that's how we become, the entrepreneurs helping others, because we've been given these blessings from God and saying, hey, this is your strength. You really need to work on this. Like, or you need to like help others with this because you're good at it. And like you said, you didn't intend to help these certain people. But that's just the way that, God gave them to you to help. And
Exactly. It's so true. It's a gift from God, huh? It's a
yeah.
gift from God. But you know what? Now I'm feeling so much about helping entrepreneur women that are silenced in toxic male relationships. And so really a lot of my work is becoming more and more tailored to helping them write their story, their ebook, in my group coaching, and get them to get empowered because they have the business, they have the kids, they're gorgeous, they have the house, they have the career, they have the money, but it's these relationships that they keep choosing for multiple reasons. And so that's kind of where a lot of my work is moving towards, is entrepreneur women that struggle with drug addict, alcoholic, narcissistic boyfriends or husbands.
Well, I think that that's one thing that you said is they may have all of these materialistic
Yeah,
things,
yeah,
but the materialistic things, those are just material things. But if they don't, they're just attracted to maybe the materialistic things, but they need to do the inner work, right?
yes, yes.
Because you can't take, so this is the way I look at it, is you can't take those things with you when you pass.
No,
So,
exactly.
but the internal, like that's the stuff that you should be working on. Those are the things that keep you up at night or keeping you stressed or keeping you, like all of the things. And I think that those are the things that are so important to heal from is the internal work so that you're at peace. You can go to sleep at night with peace and feel that just that freedom that you're because who cares what and that's like the thing about the self-care. Like people are like, oh, I take care of myself. You're not taking care of the inner self. You're not taking care of your mind, your body, your soul. You're just taking care of getting your hair done or whatever, and which is fine, but you also have to take care of the inner health, right? The inner.
Yes, that's actually everything. That's way more important.
Hmm.
And that's the thing with these women, that they have been so conditioned to work on the outside. The inside is empty. And I had to walk through that myself too. And I did that during COVID. I literally went underground with Jesus and a Christian counselor, that we did a lot of internal work and a lot of grief and a lot of healing that took me to a whole nother place. But yeah, the ongoing internal nurturing is, they recoil from it like a hot flame. To them, it's like a taboo. It's like this, no, 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 we don't look at that. We have to look at the next, external thing. And
Hmm.
to bring them back down and go, but if you don't work on this, you'll break, So yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. When we die, we cannot take our bank account. When we die, we can't take anything except our soul, and hopefully it's going to the right place, hopefully.
That's why we got to work on the inner work.
Exactly, exactly. Yes, yes, yes.
No, I think that that's so important. And so, like with your husband now, you guys have been married 15 plus years.
Mhm.
And so, how with you going into that, and once you found your husband, like how was it? I mean, was it an easy I mean, because you had so many bad like relationships, and like how did you get to the point where you could actually start to trust your husband or even just start that relationship?
Such a good question. Such a good question, because you know what? Because of his kindness and unconditional love, I was looking for, I was calling it toxic, because I was not used to having a relationship that was um nice and calm. So I had to burn and heal layers, sitting with someone that was not causing me was not creating all these highs and lows. So it took me a good year and a half, 2 years in that relationship to adapt, because I was so used to the insanity of the highs and lows in a relationship, of cheating and hitting and drinking, doing all that. So it took a little while, but and that's what I want to say to our viewers. Health, you may think healthy. I see this all the time with women. They go, oh, but he's so boring. No, that's true. That's kindness. That's not boring. That's
Mhm.
beauty. That's meekness. That's a God character. So I had to burn through those layers and heal those layers to really see, wow, he's angelic and this is good. So it takes
Yeah.
some time to burn through that. Yeah.
Well, I think it's just like, like they say when you are doing your healing, it's like an onion, right? You just have to keep
Yes.
peeling down the layers and you're not just healed, you're continuously healing because there's new layers or there might be like the trauma from like we call the little girl trauma, or the child, the things that trigger us and all the things that we had to go through. And we sometimes mask those and we hide them and we just close them up so much. And then when we get to given the kindness, we're like, wait, what are they gonna want from me?
Well,
Right.
exactly, exactly. What do they want? What's their agenda? And there isn't one,
Yeah.
you know? And that's very rare if we find people like that. And you've been married. How long have you been married?
20 years we've been together we'll be 21 years in December, been married or been together since 29.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
29 years you guys been together, married 21. I mean, you've been together almost 30 years in
Yeah.
December.
Yeah.
What did you ever have to go through that? Did you ever feel did you ever have to burn through layers?
Oh yeah, constantly. And we continue to heal. Like for us, our marriage, we didn't know, honestly, we've never seen successful marriages when we were growing up. We were divorce was prominent. And so there were things that, we continue to deal with is like sometimes it's like, okay, battles, trauma, things that happen to us as children that come out later in life. And, we have to just trust each other. We're high school sweethearts. So we've had to go through all of that. Um, and fight to make sure, for our relationship. I think it's so important. And it's not always, like I said, it's not always been easy. And there's like just different things that happen in life. And we just gotta like, hey, you're my person. Hey, I'm gonna do this. You gotta have that conversation. I think date nights are so important too.
Yes.
And there was a period of time where we didn't go and do dates and it was all about the kids when they were younger. And that was harmful to the marriage because you have to remember the intimacy that you had, and take care of each other. And date night is not going to the grocery store. You can go have your nice dinner and then go to the grocery store, but date night is not going to the grocery
Is
store
that going
together.
to That's so funny, but so true. It's not. Chores, house cleaning is not date night.
Hmm.
Date night is date night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
beautiful. And you have 2 adult kids.
Yeah.
I love hearing that. And he loves God too, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Yeah. And those are sometimes what that would be date night was going to church on a Saturday
Yeah.
night and then going
Yep.
out to dinner, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
our date night too, Sundays, church, and then out to eat, and then sometimes a lot of like play. Our date night is gonna be Thanksgiving. We don't have kids. We have 2 dogs. We are going to Vegas in Thanksgiving and just gonna go see shows because I don't drink, he doesn't drink, I don't gamble, I don't eat, so I go to shows. So that's what
Yeah.
we're doing for 4 days. We're just gonna go hang out in Vegas. But it's date night. It's date weekend.
Yeah, and I think that that's so important is this taking that time to do things together,
Mhm.
is so important. And the communication is also key. Like have that
Oh,
communication.
yes. Honesty, vulnerability, asking questions and not assuming a lot. Yes,
Hmm.
yes, for sure, for sure. Gosh,
Yeah.
wonderful to hear you have a beautiful marriage.
It's not always easy.
I know, well, sure, sure, but you have learned how to work through it.
Hmm. Yeah, we've learned to work through it and and I think that's the most important thing is this like w- you got to remember your why and why
Mhm.
did you get into the relationship and why what, and I think that's so important. And so many people are just quick to like, oh, I'm done. But you got to remember like, the love and all the things. And so I think that's so important. And to make sure that you can have that communication and that you feel safe, I think is so important too. Just because somebody's been together with somebody for years, if they don't feel safe, it's not a good relationship. And you got to figure out what's behind that.
Yes, you gotta figure out what's behind that, and being in denial and brushing it under the rug, it's only gonna blow up later. Yeah, yep, I agree, 100%, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I know I loved talking to you, and I mean, you have so many great things, and I just wanted to know, it's like with all of these services that you provide, and I will leave your information in the show notes. But like, if they were interested in the books that you have and all the things, is that something they can find on like where can they find those for purchase?
Amazon, everything's on
Amazon.
Amazon, or if you wanna look at like my group coaching, my boundary classes, workbooks, what I'm doing next, it's all on my website.
Okay.
Finallyfreelife.com, and you can, I have a link tree there with everything you can engage in. I have a lot of freebie stuff as well. A lot of freebie stuff like, I have, how to leave a narcissist. If you are in a really unsafe situation and harmful situation and you want just quick 5 steps, I have, a journal, a God journal, a Bounded by God journal that you can download, and it's got 9 big prompts on how to connect you to God if you write those prompts, if you answer those prompts. I have a webinar, a free masterclass coming November 21st on how to walk through the holidays without regrets and lose your serenity with toxic family members.
Oh, I love that. I love
Yeah,
that.
it's gonna be free and I'm gonna be hosting it. It's November 21st. So there's quite a bit going on. You can just and follow me on Break Free, Rise and Rebuild on Instagram. I'm on all platforms. But yeah, I'm here to serve. Yes.
I love that. And I think that that's so important is like you guys hear, she's here to serve. She's been through some journey through the journey. And from that journey, she's, rising and rebuilding. And I just wanted to know before we get off, though, I want to like give my listeners some either a word or a phrase or something that they can take action today in order to refine and shine. What would you tell them?
Yes, I love that refine and shine. It's really beautiful. I would say the word that keeps pounding in my head, and I believe that's the Holy Spirit, and I'm gonna say it's to rise. Rise from that addiction, rise from that relationship, rise from that failure, rise from that loss. It says biblically, if I may say, there's a time for mourning and there's a time to get up. And I think for some of us, you have mourned enough. It's time to get up and rise. Rise to whatever that next thing is. It's time to get up.
I love that. And I think that that's so important. And I just want to clarify to everybody too, is like, sometimes people think, well, I don't have an addiction because I don't drink or I don't have a substance abuse or things, but we all have addictions, whether it's shopping too much or working too much, becoming workaholics or cleaning or all these things. And so, if you have something that you are facing or a challenge that you're facing, why are you facing that and get behind it? And I think that you talked about your boundaries program, and I think that people need to understand that boundaries, sometimes we need to learn how to say no. And that's what the boundaries is. Why are we always saying yes to people? Remember, even Jesus said no.
Yes, he sure did. You're right. Codependency is an addiction.
Mm-hmm.
It's addiction. It really is an addiction. My need
Yes.
to make you feel okay, because I'm not okay. But
Mm-hmm.
yes, let's rise.
Yes, so I love that. And so thank you so much for being on here. And I just tell all my listeners to make sure they follow you and check out your books and all the amazing things that you have to offer, your freebies. And I just thank you so much. I appreciate you being on here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad this worked out.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Refine and Shine. We hope you find valuable insights and inspiration to fuel your journey of continuous improvement. Remember, the key to success lies in refining your processes and letting your inner brilliance shine. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Your feedback is greatly appreciated and helps us reach more listeners like you who are eager to refine and shine in all areas of life. Stay connected with us on social media for updates and additional resources and behind-the-scenes content. We love hearing from our listeners, so feel free to reach out with any suggestions, questions, or success stories you'd like to share. As we wrap up, remember that the power to transform your life lies within you. Keep striving for growth, embracing change, and seeking opportunities to refine your skills. Together, let's continue to shine bright and make a positive impact in the world. Until next time, keep refining and keep shining.